All right, here is a Photoshop project that I came up with, and here's my inspiration. I was looking at this movie poster, and it had various versions of it, and I thought, this is kind of cool, something that we could do in Photoshop using some of the skills that we have, and then a few beyond. So down here at the bottom, I'll scroll down to my couple of versions. You won't have to make multiple versions, but I just kind of decided to do my own take on all of these. And basically, what we're going to be experimenting with is lots of using of layer masks, adjustment layers, modifying blending modes, and then if you want to dig into it, we could do filters, you could add some brushes, all kinds of stuff. So I'm just going to kind of give you a quick rundown on how you might get started. So here's one of my finished ones, and actually I did them all in one. I just made one folder that had all the text, which you could very easily do as well. And in the instructions, I tell you some good font choices. You don't have to use the exact same fonts I have, but if you don't want to have to think about it, I give you the fonts that you can download and use. And then I made a folder for each version. So here's the two heads version, the one face version, and the one face that is kind of out there like crazy version. Um, so basically that's the situation here. So you're going to start off by creating a new document. We're going to make this be a legal size paper, which is going to be in inches, and it'll be 8.5 inches wide, but then 11 instead of 11, it will be 14 inches tall. And we're also going to go ahead and go 150 resolution, though if you're really going to print these out like a publishing company or something, you might want to go bigger than that. And I think for now, I'll go ahead and set my background to black and then hit create. So you end up with this kind of situation. We've got a nice black movie poster here. And again, you could go ahead and put your text in there if you wanted to. I would just put it all in its own folder because that way you can turn it on and turn it off at your leisure. It just needs to go on top of everything. Meanwhile, you need a picture of yourself. And the good thing about this is that honestly, your picture can look awful like this. Yeah, that was me the other morning. So pretty awful. So you can choose any selection tool to select your subject. I'm going to kind of cheat here with a little bit of quick selection brush. And of course, this is some awful hair. This was Sunday morning having some illness hair going on. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this out to a new layer, or actually to a layer mask, and then drag this on over into my project. So as you know, we just take our move tool and drag that right on across. And it's all going to be touched up later, so no reason to save any of those changes. Going to be really big, so we'll zoom out, Control T, and change that size. And again, it depends on what version you want to do. If you want to do the really big head version, you can kind of go this route. You can get rid of the hair if you want to. And we're going to end up throwing all kinds of layer masks on here, so I'm really not even going to be worried about it right now. But what you're going to have to get really comfortable with is painting on the masks. So like for instance, down here at the bottom, we're going to want this to blend in. So just right from the get-go, I'm going to go ahead and take a super soft, so all the way soft brush, and I mean big brush. Like for my general brushes, I've upped this thing to about 600. I actually am going to hit it a couple more times and make it like 900. And I'm going to click on the layer mask. So we need to make sure it says layer mask here and paint in black to hide. So you can't see down that low on my bars. Let me turn this way so you can. I'm going to take black and I'm just going to paint here. And I'm not actually painting in black, we're painting on the bottom of the layer mask. If you use an even bigger brush, you can not get so close to it and it'll be more gradual. So see, I'm like clicking and I'm not actually moving my brush at all. It's just the more I click, the more it kind of does its thing. And you can do the same thing from the corners too. You kind of come at it from these edges. It just depends on how much you want it to blend in on the sides. See how I'm doing that? So there we go. A little too much here on this face in the middle. And so you switch to white and you can put some of that back in there if you want to. It really doesn't matter at this point. We're going to be doing so much to this picture, it won't matter. Okay, so, wow, I look great. So that's your main face layer. And again, you might want to do like I did, and just from the beginning, go ahead and make you a layer folder um, just for this. So you can kind of turn it all off and on, and then maybe a text folder later, um, like so. So The next thing we're going to do is to start worrying about some of the color situations. And you can make a layer behind this layer just by hitting your new layer button and dragging below if you wanted to add some color. And if you look kind of at the example, if I put this one back on, this crazy one, I kind of made a blue layer behind there. I didn't make the whole layer blue. I just took a blue brush and I painted back here, um, kind of like so. And it's going to kind of show through. And I like the way that that looks, but you know, you could do whatever you wanted to with it, um, if you've got patterns or whatever. In this case, I actually made my head bigger over on this side and I used some other things and you know, it's whatever. The fun part of this is going to be just finding random things that you can throw in there and blend in. So I did searches for things like glitch, um, technology backgrounds, things like that. So like here's this blue one that I found, or I got a glitchy thing that's just bunches of weird glitchy stuff. So let's say I take this little glitch part here, and I'm just going to bring it straight over as a rectangle. But I can throw this in here. Oops, got a hold of the wrong thing. This is where you might want to lock your layers because it can get really complicated. So we'll put this on top. Oops. I'm working on a touchpad today instead of a mouse. I'm just not as good with it. So this is going to give us some glitch looks. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around. I'm not worried too much about whether the sizes get messed up on this because this is all meant to be kind of out there, right? All right, so this is going to give me those glitches. And what you're going to do is, instead of pulling the opacity back like so, you're going to modify where it says normal, you're going to modify the blending modes. And this changes the way this layer blends with the bottom layers. So on the ones that have dark parts, your best one is going to be screen. So like if you have a lot of black and you want the black to go away, you would set it on screen mode. Now if I had one that had a lot of light areas, I would want to go to overlay mode. And it's okay, you don't have to memorize this, you just kind of play with it. But see there, now I've got some sort of glitch business going on this side of the image. And you just basically continue on with this, like anything that you want to bring in, you just bring it in and then you start messing with the blending modes. And then messing with, you know, so like this would be, this is lighter. I'm going to get the lighter areas out of it. So instead of going to the screen mode, I'm going to go to the overlay mode and see how that kind of does whatever it's doing there. And let's say I want to make this go right over an eyeball. So I'm going to press Control T, kind of get that like, you know, here or whatever. And then, you know, it's not going to blend in because it's got blue on the edges. So I'm going to have to throw a layer mask on here, take a black paintbrush, just a big one, and then start going at this from the sides. See what I mean? So we're kind of blending those edges so they're not so noticeable. And then you can continue to add additional things, just layering and layering and layering. Um, Additionally, if you want to make, like on this one, I made some parts darker. You know, you can do your adjustment layers like always. So I could do, say, a levels adjustment. Now this is going to do it to everything if I don't clip it to a certain thing. So let me move this down and clip it just to my face for a minute. Um, so now it's just pointing to my face. And then if I pull, let's see, the darks down, then that part's getting darker. Um, There we go. So now it's like creepier over on this side. Now what I want to do then is I don't want it to happen on this side of the face. So we're going to say black ignore on this side of the face. So I take my big black brush and we just kind of ignore. So this side of the face stays a little more normal, so to speak. And this side of the face is getting kind of out there crazy. Um, and again, this is just, it's tons of layering, tons of layering. You just bring in more and more. Some of your good search terms here are going to be like binary code, if you want to have like ones and zeros kind of going all over. If you want to go like you're a robot, you know, or whatever, or anything glitchy. So like, you know, here's an example of one I might want to take. So I'll save that. Oops, that's saving as a web page. You do want to make sure that it's the downloaded version. So like on here, I've got to download it. I'm not worried about high quality here. Boxes, we'll call it. So now I'm going to come in here, open up boxes, and then we'll drag it in. And this one is gray color mode, so this may yell at me. We'll see. Oh, no, okay, it came on over. All right, so now I've got this in here. Oops, again, might want to lock some layers. It is always a challenge on these kind of projects. And you, of course, want to name your layers too, but I'm trying to hurry. All right, so let's say we want to throw some of these glitchy boxes in here. I can just cover up everything, hit enter, and then experiment with those blending modes again. If we go to the screen blending mode, it's going to go that route. If we're going to go to the overlay blending mode, it goes that route. That looks pretty cool. You just kind of have to experiment with these. I use multiply, screen, and overlay. Those are kind of my main ones. But there are also like vivid light, which goes a little darker and deeper on that. And you can still pull your opacity back. So like you're not just stuck with blending mode. So I can also pull the opacity back on that. There we go. And then if I don't want it to affect this right side of the face, again, just add a layer mask to that side and then take your brush and just start painting that out. You could do it even more gradually. You know, if you use a big brush and you don't go too crazy with it, then you can kind of see what's happening here. So there you go. And again, if you do just decide you just simply want to do color, let's say I want to make that whole side of my face over there kind of not saturated at all, like kind of grayish, then I'll just go ahead and add a hue saturation to everything, right? Pull it back, and you can do colorize, which takes all the color out, you know, like that if you wanted to. Then you could go find like the blue color that you're going for. Um, and then you're going to have to paint on the layer mask. So there's a lot of painting on the layer mask, not getting into selected mask. And so if I do this, see, I'm painting back in the color. The bigger the brush you use, the more it's going to blend. See how that blends better? See, it's so much better because I'm using a humongous brush. If I use a small brush, I'm going to get weird. It's not going to look near as cool. Likewise, if this side of the face you wanted to say amp the saturation, say I want to make it like orange or like, you know, more, I don't know, human, you could do the same thing. Vibrance is a good one. Um, there's lots of different ones you can mess with on here. I like Vibrance or Photo Filter. I'll go to Photo Filter this time. We'll do a warming filter to warm it up. So it's going to warm the whole picture. Again, I don't want it to warm on that side. So this time I'm going to paint with my big black brush on this side because I want the blue to come back. There we go. And see now it's not doing it to the whole picture. You can see it's pretty good difference before and after there on that. So anyway, this is just a getting started, kind of giving you some ideas of what you might do to come up with your own version of some glitchy version of you. And again, I've not seen this movie, by the way, but I took it off of this idea of this movie called Replicas. So we're going to say for our, vision that you have been turned into some weird robot glitchy version of you, a clone of you that's electronic and maybe a little twisted. So there's your take for this one. I just want you to have fun with it. Lots of different things layered over. You can see here they've got lines and things that you could pull from brushes. You could use smoke brushes. Lots of different options here. So I just really want you to have fun with it on this one.